This is a trending subject in Nigeria, in Africa, for those of you in America who are not familiar with it. There was a young lady, I will let you listen to the video. There was a young lady, I think about 30 years old, 2 or 3 days ago. Today's what? May 31st, 2019. So about 2 or 3 days ago, this thing is trending all over the social media, at least in Africa. I'm not sure about America, but it's trending. And she's a 30-year-old young lady who found a nice house, went and stood in front of the house, made a picture, made a video, and said this is her house. Her husband kicked her out. Her husband beat her. He kicked her out. I think it's 8 years or 10 years. And she built this duplex, and she wanted to give glory and praise to the Lord. And she went inside the house and took pictures and took videos and put it on social media. The first issue I have with that is, you have a culture in Nigeria and Africa. You have a culture that people are hungry for fame and for fortune and for wealth. And to them to be a successful Christian, you have to have material possession. That means you are success. That means your Christian walk with God is perfect. That means God is pleased with your life. Your salvation is intact because you have all these material possession. But it goes to show these very Christians do not know the Bible, and they didn't study the Bible. They didn't study the lives of Christ and the disciple, how they lived. If they studied the true disciple of Christ, how they lived, they will know material possession and wealth and fame and fortune does not equate to becoming a good, solid Christian. Neither does poverty mean you're also walking with God. Now, that's the first issue. The second issue I want to address, the way the police handle her, to me, my personal opinion, they rough handle her too much, put a handcuff on her, made her to put a video to say, is this your house? Who house is it? I mean, they rough handle her. Why? Because our same nation, Nigeria, and our same continent, Africa, is full of corrupt and evil and wicked and crooked politicians that are robbing and stealing money from the very people, and they are still sitting into office. Who's rough handling them? Who's putting handcuffs on them? Who making them to go to social media and say how much money you stole from the government? So if those crooked politicians themselves were not crooked and evil and wicked and stole the money that should be given to the citizens to better off themselves, maybe she wouldn't be in such a predicament to do what she have done. Now, granted, because I've said that, I'm not justifying her behavior at all. I'm not justifying what she did, but there are criminals out there who have done worse in government positions in Nigeria, in Africa, across the world, that haven't been rough handled and humiliated the way they humiliated this young lady. And my final point of view is, the only positive thing I can get out of this, I will advise that young lady, if I get a hold of her, I will advise her, my dear, based on your story, because she wrote a nice story. Based on her story, if you are in America, all the TV producer will be calling you because why? They want you to write their script. Because her script that she wrote, based on her fake life story, is very entertaining, is very believing, is very catching. So if all of you Nollywood and Hollywood and Bollywood people out there, you should get a hold of something good should come out of this for that young lady. You should get a hold of her and hire her to write script, because evidently she has a very bright and vivid imagination and she has very entertaining thoughts. Now listen to the video and let me know your thoughts on that.
Jokes apart, I think the way she was rough handled in that video was a little too much.
Yeah.
This is a woman. Let's give. Maybe they could have shouted at her and all that, but not. I think it was just a little too much, making her sit on the floor, putting her in handcuffs. I saw handcuffs, didn't you? Did you?
Yeah.
Maybe my eyes were. Maybe I don't know what I was seeing, but you know. And she stood in front of the house and took a picture. If you remember the original story, she said, 8 years ago, my ex-husband threw me out of his 1-bedroom apartment. 8 years later, I built myself a 7-bedroom duplex. I picked up all the stones he threw at me to build myself. I became too strong and fortified. I became that broken pieces. I'm sure she meant to say the broken piece. That because an expert in mending, that probably she meant to say became an expert in mending. Your dreams, yes, dreams do come true. My name is Okoro. Blessing. Nkiruka. 23rd May 1989, I was born. I am 30 years today. I am that blessing you hear about.
Monday motivation.
A child of grace.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to me.
Hashtag Monday motivation.
Hashtag Monday
Actually,
motivation.
I don't.
Now, as Mr. Freeze, he just read her script. The young lady, he just read her script. To me, I think she's very creative. She's very entertaining. That's her script, but it's all made up story. That's a made up story to justify why she stood in front of the house and said that's her house and went inside the house and took pictures and videos. But did you read it? Did you listen to the script she wrote? Yeah, her grammar may not be perfect and correct, but you got the picture. Somebody in Hollywood, Nollywood, Bollywood ought to hire that young lady to write some script because she's very entertaining. Now, this is a video clip of the young lady, and this is how the police handle her because she took a picture in front of a house that's not her house. She made video and posted it. Honestly, I think they rough handled her. I'm not justifying her behavior, but she was rough handled. There are some criminals out there in government that are riding in Bentleys that they stole money from the very people, young lady sitting right there on the floor, that the police handcuffed and humiliating her for what nonsense? Africa.
Raise your face up.
Daddy Biko, please.
Let me call you back later. We are busy, please. Say that this house does not belong to you. Yeah.
This video now you are covering now. Nobody will post it.
Just
in case.
Just say.
This house does not belong to me.
Who does this house belong to? Onyeze who?
Yes.
Onyeze Nachinko. What did you do that made them to ask you to say the owner of the house?
I recently came here to take a picture.
You recently came in here to take a picture. A picture of Onyeze, Abi? A picture of Onyeze. A picture of Onyeze's house.
Yes.
And you say that Onyeze is a rubbish human being, right? To ask you to say the owner of the house.
I recently came here to take a picture.
You recently came in here to take a picture. A picture of Onyeze, Abi? A picture of Onyeze. A picture of...
Honestly, I think this young lady was too humiliated, rough handled. These African men and police officer, she took a picture in front of a house that's not her house, and she made a video inside the house. She said it's her house, and she posted it all over social media. Of course, that wasn't smart on her part. That wasn't very wise on her part. But I feel her pain, her desperation. I feel really sorry for her, honestly. I'm not justifying her behavior, but the way she was rough handled and humiliated when there are government officials that have done worse and still continue to do worse in that same country, that same Nigeria, that same continent in Africa. Why don't somebody rough handle them and humiliate them the way they were humiliating this young lady? This is embarrassing. Africa, treat your citizens with some dignity and human rights and respect, man. Please.